yours?
Oh, she's doing good. She's perfect.
Awesome. Good. So Kevin was just sharing with me a little bit a second ago about he's had a rough couple weeks, and I wanted to find out why.
Okay, Kevin, I'm listening too.
Okay. So actually, I've got two files that won't seemingly go away. So I'm constantly, on the phone with the borrowers, obviously the agents, and just trying to get it to go away. And every time we get over one hurdle, there's another. On top of that, just life happening and things in general, just trying to stay afloat, staying ahead of the curve, pre-approving people. It's been pretty busy, which is good that I'm not sitting around twiddling my thumbs, but then the files that I need to go away just won't go away.
Okay. So tell me why the files not going away are a problem. Like, why is it rough? Is it because you just feel like they're sucking the life out of you?
Yeah, I think they're sucking the life out of me, simply because the borrowers the agents are okay. On this, typically one file is worse than the other. The borrower is constantly contacting me, and I don't have, any other answers. But you can't expect me to have an answer an hour later, and then I call my processor, and she's going to know what I know, and I know what she knows.
Right. And the client understands that, right?
They don't act like they understand it.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. Do you feel like you're just an order taker for a patron, or do you feel like you are a professional in a business that your clients know nothing about?
I feel like I'm a professional in the business my clients know nothing about.
Do you believe that the way you present yourself in front of your clients has everything to do with the way that they treat you?
No.
No. Okay. Why not?
Why don't I believe that? I mean,
you don't believe that from the moment you make an introduction to a client and the way you speak to them and the way you handle the process has no correlation to the way that they treat you during the process?
Not fully. Not when there's other hands involved.
Okay. So how is that different than when you go to a doctor's office?
I don't keep the people waiting forever.
You don't. No, you're absolutely right. But you still, it doesn't change your opinion of your doctor, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And your doctor literally spends 10 to 15% of your time at the doctor's office with you, and the rest of the time is in the hands with everybody else, right?
Correct.
And why do you like your doctor?
I don't really have one here, so let's speak from past experience. Because they do their job, and they tell me what I need to know.
Okay. They've got good bedside manner is how I describe it, right?
Correct. Yep.
The way in which your doctor makes you feel is ultimately the reason why we keep going back.
Yes.
We suffer through the wait times. We suffer through the scheduling, right? We suffer through all that stuff because when the doctor's with me, I feel like I'm the only one that matters. And when I leave there, I feel like I've been heard, validated, and I believe that I'm on the path to recovery. At least that's how I interpret it.
Correct.
So it begs the question, do you think that your business is more like a doctor's office, or do you think your business is more like a McDonald's?
A doctor's office.
Okay. Well, I mean, it may not be that way, but you perceive it in your mind as I'm that valuable to my clients. But there are certain things that clients have to understand, and this is not me judging you. This is not what this is about. This is about us getting better, right? I mean, you're on the same page with me on that.
Yeah. No, I don't take it personal. It's
All
a
right,
coaching call, so I understand.
Cool. So the truth is that our clients have no expectation of what our business is beyond what we tell them or allow them to think it is. Do you agree with me on that?
True.
If they've not bought a home in the last 60 days, the business is different. Agreed? The business has changed.
Agreed. Yep, it has changed.
And every person that comes into contact with you has a totally different scenario. Intricacies are all different. The general conception or concepts are the same, but everything is different, right?
Correct.
No one file is the same as the next.
Correct.
So if a borrower believes that you are always available and that they should be getting answers within an hour of the issue being arisen, why do you think the client has the ability to act that way? Why do you think that they find it acceptable?
Because they want answers. I mean, they're displaced, out of their home, separated from their family, and they want answers.
Yep. And is that because an expectation was created inaccurately, or is it because they're just frantic?
I think a combination of both in this case.
Okay. So where do you think you could take that situation and make it easier on yourself and on your team? Where do you think you could take that conversation with the client?
To the closing table. Get rid of it. I'm being funny, okay. Doug. I'm sorry.
No. I'm with you, buddy. I had clients I fired. 3 weeks before closing, I fired them because I couldn't take it anymore. But there's also files that I realized that they were a much bigger relationship at stake than anything, and I had to suffer through it. So I've been in your shoes more times than I care to admit.
Right.
But I've learned something very valuable in my career, and that is my clients' perception of everything that is about to unfold is a direct result of what I tell them, and the realtor as well. Would that be a fair statement?
Okay. Yep, that's fair.
So it was always imperative to me that I managed my clients' fears and expectations correctly out of the gates. And by that I meant I painted a picture that made it so that they understood, A, how difficult this was going to be, B, how paper and time sensitive this process was going to be, and how much communication relied on trust, understanding, and the realization that things didn't happen instantly. It's not like you walk up with a cheeseburger that has no cheese on it and wanting them to slap another piece of cheese on it or give you another cheeseburger. It doesn't happen that quickly. More often than not, my clients who became dysfunctional in the process, I boiled it down to my inability to manage my clients' fears and expectations. And let me tell you why it was so important for me. It's not that we can't put up with the drama. It stinks. I know it's hard, but it's not like we can't put up with it. The problem then became is that if I'm going to put up with the drama, I can either let that drama take my business down, which really is what's happening because you're being sucked into it and it's pulling you away from your originating activities, it's pulling away from your family activities, it's pulling away from your personal life. It's eating up a lot of your mental capacity. Is that fair? I can hear it in your voice. So it's sucking the life out of you in so many ways. A large percentage of why that's happening is because we have not taken the reins and stepped in and said, listen. Now, reactively, it's my apologies. We didn't catch certain things, but remember when I told you from the very beginning that this business was difficult? Remember I gave you that list of 100 things that could go wrong? Whatever the case may be, I learned from my mistakes and developed strategies that provided me ways to avoid this. Instead, I took the situations, not all the time, but a good amount of the time, and I took negative situations and I turned them into positives because I always looked at the opportunity to turn a situation that was down to right side up so that I could get some gratitude. And every time I got gratitude, you know what my response was. Every time a client said, thank you, or I appreciate that, it was always, you know what, thanks for noticing. I work really hard at making this process easy and smooth. I told you in the beginning it wasn't going to be perfect, but I care at a high level. I need you to do me a favor now and help me out. My team and I are going to work on this, and we're going to do it as fast as humanly possible. I realize the situation that you're in, but I realistically expect that we won't have anything back for another 12 to 15 hours, or probably not until tomorrow morning. I wish it was different, but the truth is that we have so many other things that have to come into play. So I need you to sit back and wait for my phone call, and I give you my word that as soon as something happens, I will call you. It's about taking ownership of the relationship and taking control of the relationship in a way that promotes your value to them, while at the same time making them understand that your ultimate goal is to get them to be grateful and appreciative so that they refer you to the people they care about. Now, that doesn't happen perfectly. It doesn't happen all the time even. Sometimes you just get kicked in the pants and you get punched in the face and you have to get up and get kicked and punched again and again and again until the file's over with. But more often than not, a little bit of courage and a little bit of conviction goes a long way into managing people's expectations, because emotions, and you see this in the movies all the time, when somebody kind of gets crazy, what happens sometimes? Somebody slaps them in the face and says, calm down, snap out of it. It doesn't mean that they don't have the right to be upset. It doesn't mean that they don't have the right to be stressed, but it does mean that they have to understand and trust and have faith that the process is going to do its due diligence and take its course. Calling you every hour doesn't change anything. But what that tells me is they don't believe that you've managed their fears and expectations well enough for them to let go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
But you don't believe me.
I mean, I think I've done everything humanly possible to let them know that we're currently working on it. You know, if our turnaround rule is 48 hours, and here we are Thursday, and she walked the paperwork in on Friday, well, we're beyond 48 hours, even if it was looked at on Monday. And still
that's a different story. Nope, that's a totally different story. Now you have, now you're completely right. Now the conversation doesn't go to you and the client anymore. It goes to you and Craig Bland.
Yeah.
Have you reached out to Craig Bland?
Yep, talked to Craig yesterday.
Okay, why did you wait till yesterday to talk to Craig if the file was turned in on Friday and you knew that it was 48 hours and that meant that you should have had an answer sometime on Tuesday?
I talked to Craig on yesterday.
Which was Wednesday.
Tuesday. What happened Tuesday?
Well, take me back to Friday. What happened on Friday when the paperwork was dropped off? Because obviously at that point, if she's dropping off paperwork, there's a fire, right?
Correct.
Okay, so why not on Friday let Craig and everybody else know that this was a fire and this client is expecting 48 hours? What needs to happen to ensure that this gets turned around in 48 hours?
She dropped it off to my processor. I wasn't even in the office, but I knew she was coming, and I let them know that she was coming to drop in the paperwork off. So she gave it directly to the processor.
And the processor then dropped the ball, or the processor did what she needed or he needed to do immediately?
She uploaded it directly to the system. Hold on a second. She dropped it. No, she didn't drop the ball. The first problem was that she couldn't upload the paperwork that was faxed over Thursday night because we couldn't get in the BP. So at 9:30, she was able to upload the paperwork, but the client needed one more document from her husband, and she brought it in around noon. And
On
once
Friday.
she got it, on Friday. Once she got it, the processor uploaded it, and then from there, the 48 hours, took place.
So so what happened between Friday at noon after the file was uploaded until Tuesday at noon?
It wasn't looked at. The email came back saying that the underwriter, she said she would look at it later in the afternoon, which didn't occur.
Okay. So in that situation, and you may or may not realize this, in that situation, the morning, and this is for future reference, if I have a file that I'm expecting an answer on Tuesday at noon, which goes along with the 48-hour turn time, I'm making a call to Craig Bland, letting him know that this is already a fire because this should have been handled when we couldn't upload. I mean, you knew at Tuesday morning, you knew that this file was an issue, right?
Correct.
And I would have reached out to Craig on Friday and told him, is there anything that we can do to ensure that this thing comes out of underwriting and has the underwriter looked at it by Tuesday, if not sooner, because I would like to exceed as much as possible the client's expectations.
True. You're right.
And so I don't ever, there's times to raise the red flag and there's times to just raise the white flag. This time you knew that the file was already going to be an issue because of what happened on Thursday and whatever the case may be. I always took it a step farther as kind of an insurance policy. I know that posted turn times are the turn times, but I always tried to find ways to exceed my client's expectations, and that meant that I always asked. Or at the very least, I put the underwriter, the processor, and the manager on notice and saying, this file is already a problem. We have to make sure that we exceed or meet the expectation of 48 hours. Please tell me what needs to be done. Hindsight is always 20/20. This is where the growth comes in. People make mistakes, challenges happen, but when I tell a client 48 hours, that means that I'm delivering it in 48 hours. That means Monday, I'm calling the underwriter. That means on Monday afternoon, I'm calling the underwriter. That means on Tuesday morning, if I haven't gotten an answer, I'm calling Craig and I'm calling the underwriter again saying, I'm looking for an update. I'm looking for a status. I'm sorry I'm being a pain in the butt, but I promised the client this. It sucks. There's nothing you can do about it except try to pick up the pieces and move forward. But in the future,
I sent an email on Monday at 10:51 that says, is there any way to get a rush on this file? But I never got a response. I'm reading it.
You sent it at 10:51 at night?
10:51 a.m. on Monday morning.
Okay. Did you CC Craig on it?
I didn't, so that's where my mistake was.
Well, no, because at some point you've got to assume that, this stuff should be handled without involving the branch manager, right?
Correct. That's what I assume. Shouldn't have to involve them.
Right. No, I'm totally with you. I, for one, if I was in your shoes, would change it up next time and go, if I need answers, I'm leveraging the relationship I have with Craig Bland and the relationship that Craig Bland has with the company. That's why you're working. That's why you're working for him. Is he does have significant pull and he does have significant clout with the right people at this office. And I would never let yourself get into a situation like that again. I just wouldn't. I would be, you were right, on Monday, if I didn't get an email back by noon, I'd be blowing up somebody's phone. But you had faith that justifiably wasn't followed through on.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that, buddy, truly. And I'm sorry that happened. I'm also a resource because I sit up here at corporate. If you need something, if something's not happening and you can't get a hold of Craig for whatever reason, pick up the phone and call me. I'm not the person that's going to fix it, but I'm the person that can take your information and walk it over to the right person and sit in front of them and tell them what's happening and what I need.
Okay.
There is not a shortage of people up here, Kevin, that want to see you succeed. But sometimes we just hope that people do what they're supposed to. And it's one thing when a file is just lackadaisically going through the process. It's another one when you know the file is about to become a SHIT storm.
Right.
So I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good news.
I know that's just what's been happening.
Right.
You know,
The trick is to compartmentalize that stuff and realize that stuff is always going to be there. There's always going to be drama and problems, and not letting that derail you off the things that you know you need to be doing, which is going out there and building more relationships and managing the existing ones. I've had so many files that blew up in my face, Kevin, that I thought my business was going to fail. It lasted 20 plus years. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't flawless. It had its challenges, and some of them were significant. But I always put my best foot forward, and I took ownership over the things that didn't go right. I took ownership over the things that I could have fixed, and I kind of bit the bullet on the things that I had no control over, but felt like, it could have been handled differently. And sometimes it never helped. Other times it did. People appreciate accountability. So, I don't know what you want to do with that file besides get rid of it, but I will tell you that there will be more. There will be others. You have another chance to wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. And if this call gives you anything, just, understand that the more that you can create expectations and manage them and do your part to help exceed them is the only reason that your business is going to continue to grow. And I would never take information at face value.
Gotcha.
And I would leverage the relationship that you have with Craig in his office. So, guys, I've got another call at 11:30. So I only wanted to spend a little bit of time with you guys before I had to jump on that. Hey, Lachelle, I'm so sorry we didn't get a chance to talk at all. Did you get anything from this by chance?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Just kind of some differences because, at some level, I know we all as loan officers want all of our files to be the most important file that the processor touches.
Right.
But if there's an emergency, sometimes it is about setting the expectations, because I tell my borrowers, when you hand me something, it doesn't just get looked at. There are 10 other loan officers in here who feel like their borrowers are just as important as you are, and they want their files to close. I can't, every day that you delay getting me something delays your process for 3 days is what I tell them.
There you go.
Because there are other files in front of yours,
Right. Well said. Well said.
I don't know, but Kevin, I hope it works out for you.
Oh,
And I'm there because I definitely think about getting out of this business every day. If somebody came and offered me a job for $45,000 a year straight, at some days I feel like I just take it and stop this. Because I am so tired of picking cotton. I'm so tired of telling people that, I feel like I'm Dorothy skipping down the yellow brick road. You never know where you're going to get kicked off.
Right. Correct.
Sometimes just a regular paycheck is it's a lot. It's a lot to work for 60 hours and not get a paycheck because the borrower lied, the house didn't appraise, there were liens on the house. All these things come at you and you're just like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
Right.
I'm tired of shaking my Tina Turner legs. Doug, I know you got to go. and I'm still running and shaking my Tina Turner legs right now, so I'm going to let you go. Okay?
Right. Well, I've got, the next time we talk, I have an answer for that I can help ensure that every day you wake up, when you roll out of bed, that you have a stable income coming in. And I'll tell you, it's very similar to the way you've led your business. It just is going to take a little bit of tweaking. It worked for me, and I'm not nearly as hungry as you are, and I'm probably not nearly as articulate as you. So I'd like to talk about that next time.
All right, thanks, Doug.
All right, guys, have a good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.